Governor Cuomo, we need you to pass a billionaires tax in order to make sure that we're providing for our working families. It's time to stop protecting billionaires, and it's time to start working for working families.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pushing for a wealth tax in New York, saying billionaires must do their part to help working families. But fellow Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo has said that taxing high earners could drive them out of the state. Let's bring in Charles Payne, host of Making Money on the Fox Business Network. When you have a Democratic governor basically saying, Cortez, you better pay attention here. You don't want to drive more business away from New York. It makes you wonder, is this a risky move that may force more to leave the city and even the state?
Julie, it's amazing to me that AOC just won't look at the stats. She just won't look at history or, to be quite frank with you, use common sense. We already have a mass exodus out of New York before COVID-19 of a lot of wealthy folks, a lot of people who are trying to make it up the economic ladder, and there are too many hurdles for them. And to say that, that these people aren't paying their fair share, that's just such an old, we're just kind of tired of hearing that. New York City is New York City in part because all these billionaires are attracted to live here. They pay exorbitant prices for these apartments, for the people they hire, for the companies they bring with them. In 1991 was a great case. It was a great case study. There was the building on 42nd Street, the Grace Building with that curve. It's a unique architectural building. Anyway, the entire company up and left in 1991. The CEO moved to Boca, took the company with him. I mean, any of these CEOs, for the most part, most of them can do that. They don't have to live in New York City. And so the notion of going after them, it's just so backwards. It's failed every single time. And Andrew Cuomo knows this, but I think most people know it.
Yeah, we are not only in the midst of a global pandemic, okay, but our economy, our unemployment rate are at historic lows. And I must say it, and you just said it, people are looking for jobs, and people that are looking for jobs are relying on those so-called billionaires to hire them. So isn't this hurting the economy in the long run? Isn't this hurting the middle class as well if you go after their potential employers?
Absolutely. There are different ways to, if you want to help people who aren't successful. In this case, really, let's just say what this is all about. See, initially, it's to help 1 million people not covered by federal aid. 800,000 of those are undocumented illegal workers in this city or state. So, but it's going to be hijacked and used for other things. It's going to be self-defeating. And I thought she would have learned a lesson after that Amazon debacle, but she hasn't. I thought maybe she would have learned a lesson in the last week with the boycott of Goya, but she hasn't. Her whole thing is about destroying jobs, destroying hope. Her whole thing is not about helping people, but some wild idea that social justice is a punitive punishment to try to bring billionaires to their knees. All you're going to do is bring the people around them to their knees.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head regarding Amazon. I mean, that would have brought in tens of thousands of jobs. And so there they go. And you know what? Amazon is doing amazing right now. So I bet that those New Yorkers who could have gotten those Amazon jobs would be flourishing instead of right now suffering at home with children that they can hardly afford to feed whatsoever. With the economy in its place right now in New York City, though, a lot of CEOs are moving out already, as it is, like you mentioned. They're moving out. They're commuting from different suburban communities. How could this help or harm the economy in the long run if Ocasio-Cortez were actually going to get her way, which chances are she's not?
It's a great question because it's a question that the entire nation is going to have to grapple with in November. Do we really want to have higher taxes, particularly as we're trying to come out of this, disaster? I mean, most economists don't think we'll be back at full potential, what we can be, until late next year, perhaps even 2022. Do you handicap that? Do you put in speed bumps to that? Do you make it impossible with higher taxes? The answer is yes. This is the worst time to raise taxes, and particularly after we saw all the good things that were happening when lower taxes and lower regulations for everyone in this country, but more importantly, for lower workers who finally saw wages outpacing inflation. They hadn't seen it in a couple of decades. It was happening, and it could happen again if we don't blow it.
All right, Charles Payne, thank you very much. Hey, did you notice there's two books of yours behind you? I don't know, is that a coincidence?
Someone said to me, why don't you have your book in the
You've got a
bookcase?
book
And I'm
out?
like, duh. Yes.
Very smart,
That's right.
Charles
How to make
Payne.
money. Unstoppable prosperity,
you,
Julie. Thank you.
That's right. The money man, Charles Payne. All right. Thank you so much.